Well, you're very welcome to the Betfred Boxing Show with me, Don McGuinness and Anthony Crolla. A look ahead to everything that's coming up, of course. But we start, as we always do, Anthony, with a look back at the weekend. And we were both in Sheffield for the final night at the Fight Zone Arena, the outdoor arena that Dennis Hobson Fight Academy, under the umbrella of Fight Zone, put on. And it's been some 7 weeks. And again, you were there as a pundit. We saw some decent action as well, some good knockouts, Ian Martell, and some good performances, the likes of Zach Miller and Reese Edwards. And the main event, Jack Massey, who did very well.
We did. It was a lovely summer's night to close the show as well, wasn't it? It was, I think in the main event, Jack, we wasn't sure what to expect from the opponent, but fair play, he really come to bring it. And he put Jack under a bit of pressure, asked a few questions I think we picked up in sort of commentary and punch of the night. I think Rob Rimmer read the right act at the perfect time, and that next round, Jack found the finishing shot. One smack Jack was just that, and landed a great right hand. But yeah, some great performances on the undercard. Reese Edwards, who rate very highly, with the Jamie Quinn experience, got a glowing sort of reference from him, which means a lot. Really, someone who's been with everyone. Zach Miller, he fought Mr. Ali, who's another great journeyman, and Zach was very good. Ian Martell, very impressive again. He was talking about possibly dropping down to light heavyweight. Dave Allen said there was absolutely no chance that was happening. He's certainly big enough for a light heavyweight anyway, but he was impressive. Nonetheless, Mr. Harker, after his debut, defeat, a very ambitious debut against Brett Fido, turned it around and boxed very well to get off to winning ways. And then it was the female fight, wasn't it? Between, I don't think I've missed anyone out, have I? I don't think I missed anyone out.
Dangerous Dan it was in action against Blackledge. And of course, Blackledge came in, he had a bit of time out and again, a bigger weight and everything else. But it was, again, it was, he did the job, didn't he, Dan? He did very well.
He did inexperience, and he's being active, which is the main thing. And I think for a young fighter to have that kind of activity is only a good thing. But yeah, I think, like you say, we saw a card full of prospects who, who all done the job. Exciting times ahead for Jack Massey. I think Jack, Kevin Marie, Dennis, the whole team, they're excited where that journey's going. And good night.
Now, you did touch upon the girls that were fighting in terms of Hannah Bagley was meant to make a pro debut, and there was all sorts of drama with the opponents, and very, very late notice. It looked like she wasn't going to get the fight that she'd been dreaming of, and eventually Hannah Rankin stepped in, saved the show. They had an exhibition. So Hannah, who'd had, she'd sold a lot of tickets. It was very tough for her, but Fight Zone and everybody came together to make sure she got out there and at least had a move around with Hannah, which was so important to her and a great experience. I mean, you can't read into an exhibition, but just to get out after the build-up, it was such a relief for her, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And you know what? Fair play for Hannah Rankin. What a girl, stepping in last minute. And she played her part, obviously a lot more experience than Hannah Bagley, but she did. And listen, Hannah Bagley done well. She done well. She come out positive, on the front foot, but not being sort of reckless and obviously having that respect for Hannah Rankin. But yeah, listen, it was almost as near as you can get to a professional fight. Obviously, whoever she fights on debut, no disrespect, won't have the skills and the qualities of Hannah Rankin. But I think I see Hannah Bagley now. She's fighting the middle or the end of August, or maybe even July. Sorry, in the kind of Scotland. So she's going to get out not too long after. And that was the main thing. But yeah, it's people like Hannah Rankin coming out there and sort of helping out like that. Much more experience, didn't have to do it. And it's very beneficial in a young fighter's career, especially Hannah Bagley there, who didn't get the professional debut she wanted, but the next best thing.
Well, of course, Fight Zone goes on the road now. We know that there are going to be shows throughout the UK and overseas.
Yes.
And Hannah Rankin's going to be involved in a couple of them. So to tell us a little bit more, producer Josh caught up with Hannah.
Let's start off, Hannah. Last weekend, you were in action in Sheffield on a Fight Zone card. It was very last minute, stepping in there with Hannah Bagley, who was supposed to make her debut. Ended up being an exhibition bout. How did it all come about, Hannah?
So basically I'd been doing some stuff. I was going to do some things with Fight Zone, obviously with the fight coming up in Scotland on the 31st of July. And I got a kind of a phone call and I said, would I be interested in stepping in there to help Hannah on her do an exhibition, because she's had a few opponents drop out last minute. She sold loads of tickets, loads of people were coming to see her. So I said, that'd be great. I'll step in and help out. So it was a bit of a very drastic, quick turnaround for me. I found my fight gear, got ready to go. But it was just an exhibition bout, so just 3 2-minute rounds.
Definitely. And have you had any scenarios like that in the past, or was that a first for yourself?
That was definitely a first. I'd never done that before. And exhibition bouts are they're quite tricky. You're just in there, you're not doing the full things that you're meant to be doing, So, it was actually quite hard. But it was great. It was 6 minutes. So, no stress.
And in terms of Hannah Bagley, like you say, it was supposed to be a professional debut. What did you make of her, and how do you see her going into the future?
Well, I think she's very raw. She's got lots of things that she's, working on at the moment, just coming straight brand new into the sport. She's come from unlicensed boxing. So she was really keen to showcase her boxing skills and what she wants to do. So I think we're going to see a really interesting development with her as she goes through, because she's not had all that Olympic experience or the amateur boxing experience. So it'll be how she develops in the gym. Like I said, she's got her debut now in Scotland on the 31st. So I think we'll be in for an exciting fight. She's definitely keen and working really hard, and she'll come forward and put on an exciting show for her fans. So I'm looking forward to that.
Definitely. And with Hannah, there's been a lot of talk of her and of Ebony Bridges, and they get a lot of criticism that a lot of people talk about their looks and they're just doing it for a little bit of extra Instagram follows. Do you agree with that, or is it something that people should forget and they are taking this seriously, both Ebony and Hannah?
Yeah, so I think basically when it comes to boxing, if you feel confident in yourself and you want to, go down the more the sex appeal side of it to sell tickets and build your fan base, that should be down to you. If you feel confident in wearing that sort of thing for your weigh-in, personally, I would never do that, because that's not something that it just doesn't go with my character. I'm not that kind of person. But and I was always really self-conscious of my body when I was younger. So for me, that's not a route that I would take. But I've got nothing against other girls doing it. It's completely up to them. And if they feel confident and they like to do it, then that's completely fine, And if it gets them a few more followers, what's to complain? We all need to sell tickets, and it's a sport where you've got to make some money. So why not?
No, definitely. And what have you made of the Fight Zone card so far? You mentioned the show coming up in Scotland at the end of the month. Have you been watching the shows, and what have you made of them?
So at first, when the whole idea came out, I was a bit skeptical, because everyone was like, "Oh, a boxing in a car park," and I thought, well, that's a bit different. But actually, the show the other night the production was fantastic. The work with Fight Zone and Dennis Hobson, they've just created a really great platform for boxers to get out on during this pandemic time, which has been really difficult for a lot of fighters. And it's just run extremely well. And obviously, having Fight Zone, it means that people can tune in to watch it. It's not expensive. Couple of pints, you want the same cost, so it's a couple of pints if you're in Scotland maybe, but it's super cheap, and everyone could tune in, and I think it's been a real success, and it's been great to watch how it's developed, and it's given loads of kids a platform to get out on, especially people making their debuts as well. I think I've got nothing bad to say about it. I'm quite excited that it's going to be in Scotland at the end of the month. Bit gutted I'm not on the card now, but I'm going to be doing some commentary and helping out the broadcasting team for that. So it's going to be exciting, because I get to talk about all of my sort of stablemates at home in Scotland, and you guys are in for some fantastic fights on that card. There's lots of great title fights, so it's going to be brilliant.
Definitely. And of course, last time I spoke to you, it was on the back of Josh Taylor's victory, and Scotland, I'm guessing it's going to be quite a big crowd there, because boxing on the up in Scotland on the back of Josh Taylor's victory.
Absolutely, and this is going to be the first big live boxing show back in Scotland, and it's at the Hamilton Accies sports grounds. There's a big stadium, so we can actually have a lot of people turning up, which is exciting. And I think there's been a lot of interest, so we're going to have a big load of fans there, and everybody tuning in as well. So I think Scotland's really on the rise when it comes to boxing. We're absolutely smashing it out of the park at the moment. So really excited to see this full Scottish card coming to head, really.
No, definitely. And also, last time I spoke to you, we were talking about someone you know very well, Clarissa Shields. And of course, her last boxing bout, it was on an all-female pay-per-view card. And I understand you're going to be involved in an all-female card for Fight Zone as well coming up.
Absolutely. So, yeah, like I said, unfortunately, I won't be boxing at the end of this month in Scotland, which I'm a little bit disappointed about because obviously I always like to box at home. But instead, I'm going to be headlining an all-female card for Fight Zone, which is really exciting. There's going to be some great fights on that card, and I will be fighting for a world title. So I can't say much more than that. But yeah, really, really excited, absolutely buzzing for the opportunity. And the fact that it's going to be on Fight Zone means people can tune in from wherever. It's also going to be fans available to go. So it's just really exciting to have such a pioneering option happening here in the UK. But like a full female fight card is such an exciting step forward for women's boxing as a whole.
No, definitely. And well, looking forward to that and looking forward to seeing you have a shot at a world title as well, Hannah. Also coming up, and we mentioned Ebony Bridges and Eddie Hearn's or Matchroom's fight camp is coming up again. And once again, there's quite a lot of female talent on those shows. Again, that must be a good thing, having quite a lot of female talent on these shows on a new platform, DAZN, as well.
Well, yeah, I think it went so well in the first lockdown, and people received it in such a positive way that it's great that Eddie's continuing with it and having the girls out there. There's going to be some, obviously, like you said, some great talent on there. My mate Ellie Scottney, she's going to be on there, and I can't wait to see her fighting again. So yeah, and Ebony Bridges is over, so it's going to be exciting for people. And I think the general public is actually quite excited to watch women's boxing because all the fights that were on the first one, they were all absolute firecrackers. And the 2-minute rounds, I think, has made it quite exciting for people because it goes so quick and the girls put everything into every single round. So I think people, the general public anyway, as well as the boxing community, are now really getting behind women's boxing, and it's quite exciting. And I'm really pleased to see that Eddie's put on more female fights.
So Hannah Rankin, very impressive. Hannah, of course, a professional musician when she's not fighting, whether that's exhibition or the pro contest, and that Fight Zone card, the all-female card, she's really looking forward to. So she's a great ambassador for the sport as well, isn't she, Anthony? The way that she spoke there, when she was asked about, Hannah Bagley, Ebony Bridges, the way they go about their business, the way she goes about her business, it's like live and let live is her attitude. All eyes on the sport is what she's most impressed with.
She is. She's a great girl. And speaking to her at breakfast the next day, very, educated, but very experienced as well, telling her about
back on the bus there, Anthony. You've just thrown that in. Let's explain yourself there. You were in Sheffield. You stayed at the Fight Hotel. Wow, everybody had a drink after the fight. Everybody had a drink after the fight. And then you saw her the next day. Let's just be clear on that. Let's just sound it a little bit.
Yes, it was, there's a table full, all talking boxing. And so I was talking, sat down next to him, and she was telling me about, some of the experiences of fighting in South Africa. Very well traveled, obviously. She's been in with Savannah, but lives and breathes the sport. And fascinating character, like you say there. And I think where she lives, sort of literally in the middle of nowhere. But a great girl. Now she's down at welterweight, and she's going to look to be a force on the world stage.
And Fight Zone and world titles and all the rest of it. So I know she's really looking forward to the next few months.
Yeah, she's a great, she's someone great to have someone alongside. Listen, I say it all the time in boxing, what's that in boxing, female boxing and that. But there's some great characters, obviously, friend Natasha Jonas, Katie Taylor's and stuff like that. But Hannah Rankin, I'm not saying she's on that level just yet, but she's a great character to have sort of for people to look up to in that game.
Now, of course, as well as Hannah Rankin and Hannah Bagley, another woman that's been making waves there, of course, Hannah alluded to before, is Ebony Bridges. And she's back because we saw her against Shannon Courtney, and she really put on a fight because there was a lot of controversy that we've touched upon leading up to the fight, and the way that she approaches the fight game and how she presents herself. She makes absolutely no apologies for any of it, by the way, but she is on Matchroom's fight camp, which is coming up, which will be really, really interesting. So, again, she's training overseas at the minute. She's in the States. She's in Philadelphia. So the sportsmen, of course, our partners, they've caught up with Ebony to find out a bit more about everything, really.
Yeah, we just don't see eye to eye. Like, I don't have to be friends with everyone. I don't have to like everyone in the world. I can respect them. And I can totally respect Shannon. She's a great fighter. She puts the work in, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it doesn't mean I got to go be a buddy and fucking suck up her ass and agree with everything she says and think, yeah, like, cool, you're a cool chick. Because no, I think if we were to fight again, I think I'll win. To be honest, I thought the last fight at the West was a draw. Otherwise, I think I won. Like that fight, I don't make excuses, but I was blind for 3 rounds. I had one eye for 3 rounds. I had 4 weeks notice. I went through 3 time zones and 3 continents in 3 weeks. That's a lot of travel and all that kind of stuff. It's not normal to do that. So I just think that, if I had to prep for it properly, then yeah, it would be probably different and a little bit more experience now as well. But from what I gather is she's not interested in it. So I'm not going to bother chasing that. If it comes around, that would be great. Obviously, it'd be good money, probably most money she'll ever make again. That's up to her. She's the one with the belt, so I can't force nothing on anyone. I mean, just going to focus on me now, focus on Beck. I don't have a really big, obviously, I do want to be a world champion. I would love to, there's a few, like I'd love to fight Cecilia Roman for the IBF. I think that would be just an awesome fan-friendly fight. We'll sit in a pocket and track. That's kind of fights that I love. So I think that'll be a fun fight for the fans, for me also. And, but yeah, first I've got to get through Beck Conley, which is going to be exciting as well. And then we'll go from there, whether or not I go straight into a world title or I go into some kind of title to get me in the rankings, like an international or continental title. We'll see. But obviously that's something to talk that Eddie Hearn and my managers need to talk about, because I'm just a fighter. I just want to fight anyone. I just want to go in there and bash faces. So yeah, I'm excited because I know she's going to come forward, and most people just run away, boxing a back foot for me. And I think she has a bit of that as well. So I think it'll be a bit fun, I'll be able to sit toe to toe with her a little bit and see how she handles that. But at the same time, I'm not going to waste energy that doesn't need to be wasted. Like if I can box her quite easily and save energy, then I will, you know what I mean? But I'm hoping that I can show off a lot of my skills, show that I'm more than just a one-dimensional go-forward boxing fighter with this fight. But yeah, I mean, my natural instincts and what I really love and enjoy is that tear up and is that toe-to-toe action. But yeah, we'll see whatever's going to work best to win the fight. I'm sacrificing more than most of the fighters. All those British fighters, they live at home. They fight in their own country. They don't have to work. They get to, everything gets kind of given to them, like in a way, I mean, we all have our own stories, but like, I'm like months away from home, no job, no income, like I have sponsors, I've just got some great sponsors now. Goodwin Racing, who were one of my main sponsors, Did You Beat UK? These guys jumping on board, so like that for me, like they're my biggest help. If it wasn't for sponsors, then I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing, but I've still got my family and my boyfriend at home. Hopefully he's still there when I return. Doesn't really frustrate me, no, because I don't really give a fuck what people think, to be honest. Like if I cared what people think, I wouldn't be where I am. I'd be still stuck in Australia. No one would know who I am. You know what I mean? I've always stayed true to myself. I've always been who I am, no matter the negativity or the criticism. And it's got me on top, because now people are believers and they realize, hey, actually you can do both and you can be how I am and you can box, So it just needed someone to break that threshold and break that barrier. And now you got people like Hannah Bagley that are like embracing it, and a lot of other girls. You're going to see heaps of babes come out that look like me now and going to box because they realize that, hey, you don't have to be the stereotype and, you can embrace your femininity and you can do that and it's okay, and you get shit for it. But yeah, who cares? I don't know. And I don't think there was that much negativity. If you Google my name, there's not much that negativity. It's all like, I think it was all good stuff really about me. Most of the stuff that was written about me was positive. It's just a couple of trolls, but other than that, yeah, maybe the headlines start negative to get your attention. But if you actually read the articles, most of them are pretty positive and always have been. Yes, for sure, definitely. I mean, the original reason I actually ever wanted to fight in the UK and get you British fans was because of the crowds and because of the atmosphere at the fights with the crowds. And it's just like no other country, I think, like how the British fans are, and you just can't compare it. I just always, when I've watched British boxing or, anything like that, like I said, when I saw the Tyson Fury Wilder fight in Vegas, I seen all the British fans there and I was just like, man, like, yeah, like these guys, that's what I want to fight in front of. And I want to fight in front of that kind of crowd, So God willing, it's not too far in the future that we get to have those full capacities and I get to experience what I set out to do. Honestly, this is my 4th camp here and I still haven't been to the Rocky Steps. And I think they're only about 15 minutes away from my gym. But yeah, usually after my training sessions, I just want to get home and eat and recover. So it hasn't quite worked out so far, but I do plan on going there and doing a session. So,
well, Ebony Bridges there, we mentioned it before. Yeah, no apologies for anything. She's very comfortable in her own skin and the way she's going about her boxing business at the moment, Anthony. And, how do you assess the way she is, her performance, but, the whole profile that she has?
Do you know what I thought in the build-up to the Shannon Courtney fight? There was a lot of controversy about things. I don't want to say controversy, like people who wasn't happy with a few things. But I thought she was brilliant in the way she came across. I thought, and she was very realistic. I remember in the head-to-head, she said something along the lines of, there's some way, not Katie Taylor and Natasha Jonas. People, we need to do something. We need to do something to get people to think, I want to watch that fight. And she absolutely delivered. Let's forget about all that. Whether people's opinions, how she comes to the win, that's down to her. And it got more eyes on the sport. Just like she said, everything she said did make sense. But, all that aside, what impressed me most was the heart, the determination she's shown, and she just come up short in a fantastic fight with Shannon Courtney. So everything she taught, it wasn't just a matter of, and I was probably one, I've said it time before, I was probably one who was guilty of thinking, I'm going to be interested to see if she can fight or not. However, it's just that, no, the girl can fight. And I think she'll only improve, she'll only get better. And it's great to see her back over here.
Yeah, and as she said, she has had to make so many sacrifices to cross over from the other side of the world to follow her dream and leave people behind and all the rest of it. So she is very, very determined and giving it a real go. She
is, and she's got decent jobs. She's a teacher and stuff like that. So it's not like she's sort of coming out of poverty or anything like that. So I also have massive respect for people like that who don't need this. Listen, I don't know actually. I was going to say a teacher must be a bit easier than getting punched in the face, but I'm not so sure with some of today's youth. But it's not.
Listen,
like
you've done a bit of homeschooling. Come on, it's the hardest job in the world, isn't it?
Failed miserably, yes. So I think I rather would get punched in the face. However, you've got to respect someone who's got other career options. Is choosing to do it boxing wise.
Yeah. Well, of course, as she's touched on there, the training in Philadelphia and the Rocky Steps, and she's not managed to do them yet. I mean, again, do you ever look at these things if you're in and around these places where there is something famous like a boxing link, like that's the Rocky link running up the Rocky Steps, and anything in your career?
All for the gram, Of course, if I was in Philly, I'd have to make sure I get up those steps, and I'd also have to do the. It's a bit of a jig, isn't it, at the top of the steps, what Rocky does with his hands up. Yeah, that's sums me up, really. But no, I think I've done the Hollywood, the run there. I'm trying to think boxing-wise. There must be something.
But are you interested in ticking off? Is it about ticking off the boxes, if you like, Madison Square Garden and doing all these various places? I mean, do you want to see them all?
A little bit. So that is one that I would have to do. I know it's from the movies, but obviously I was lucky enough to box at the MGM. I would have loved to have boxed at the Madison Square Garden, but I've been there first of all, in the corner for my mate John Murray, but then as a fan, and also Callum Smith in his corner. So, Joe, when you're a huge boxing fan, you can't help but feel a little bit of, that being around those landmarks in boxing. Yeah, it's a big thing, of course, because first and foremost, I'm a boxing fan. But so being around so many, but yeah, I would have to get up the steps in Philly for sure.
Well, there is Matchroom Square Garden, of course, coming up, which Ebony is going to fight on that. There's some cracking fights on that. And again, it's going to be a really interesting spectacle again with fans in there. A little bit of chat about the price of tickets and all the rest of it, but it was always going to be an exclusive event, wasn't it? Let's face it. The likes of Jazza Dickens and Kid Galahad, Conor Benn's going to be in action, loads of names on there. So that's coming up and one to look forward to.
Yeah, there's some great fights that have been announced. The fight, I think we roughly touched on. I think the fight that you mentioned just then is the one that sticks out between Jazza and Kid Galahad, the return. I think both fighters have improved tremendously since. Even the week after, Boatsy and Bolotniks, obviously seeing Bolotniks close up. That's good. But no, there's some great fights, and it's going to be a unique night. I think Eddie and Matchroom, they'll make sure no expenses spared, and it'll be good. I'm like to say, I think the barbecue, free barbecue, I think. Don't quote me on that. If anyone's got a ticket and I'm saying that, don't quote me on that. But I think it'll be a good night, something a little bit different.
Well, looking ahead to what is coming up this weekend, prior to obviously the action that we're talking about at the end of the month and then into August, and it is a Queensbury Promotions, and it is Lyndon Arthur back in action. And again, of course, so much about that fight a few months ago now, obviously, against Anthony Yard. And I think that a lot of people in Manchester, and we would have been privy to a lot of the stuff in and around Lyndon. And I think a lot of people in Manchester seem to win a lot of money on that fight. A lot of people you talk to said, well, I had Lyndon points, and it was like 9-1, and, a lot of chit-chat about
great price. It was a great price. I know, like, in the office on the show and that, there was a few people who were done very well off it. But, yeah, it was, I think what it is, I think people around Manchester, around sort of that Northwest boxing, knew how talented he was. And that wasn't underestimating Yardy whatsoever. I think we thought it was the exact opposite of everyone else. We knew it was going to be a tough fight, but if he performed, he had a great chance of doing it. And that's exactly what he done.
He did, and he's got an opportunity to showcase his skills again this weekend, topping the bill. And in the other corner is Davide Ferracci. What's his name again? Davide Ferracci, who's an unbeaten fighter, Swiss-Italian, based in Italy. Comes with a little bit of ambition as well, wants to take a scalp off Arthur. So a little bit earlier, myself and Anthony, we caught up with Lyndon to see how he's getting on with preparations. Good to hear from you. And I know it's been a while since you were out. Of course, it was the big night, the big victory against Anthony Yard. But like everybody else, I suppose you've had to be a bit patient to get back out there. I'm sure you can't wait to get in.
Yeah, man. I'm excited to get back in front of a few fans and stuff, and yeah, it should be good.
And how's it going with the training? It's the obvious question in terms of everybody's camp and all the rest of it, but these have been such unique times and bubbles and all the rest of it. Has everything gone pretty well?
Everything's gone all right. In regards to training, I'm ready. Nothing's happened wrong with my camp, so I'm okay.
Lyndon, what do we know about the opponent, mate? I know, like, obviously, he's undefeated. He's 15-0. Have you been studying him with Pat? Like, what can you tell us about him?
He looks like a bit of a decent boxer. He's tall, as well, about my height. Apparently, I think he went to the Olympics in 2016. So it might be well schooled in regards to his amateur career. Like you say, he's 15-0, so he's undefeated. He's a bit of a boxer. That's about it, really. I've looked on the internet. I've seen a couple of fights, but only from a couple of years ago. So,
Lyndon, you know what? Never overlooking the opponent, as I know you and the team wouldn't do that. You're in an unbelievable position right now, #1 ranked with the WBO. I was looking through the ratings before, and some of the names in that top 10, you could throw any together and it'd be a mega fight, super fight. How do you like? You're sitting there waiting patiently. You've got nothing to prove. Do you think the team's idea, if you wait, be made mandatory, and then you get the winner of Joe Smith and whichever his next fight's going to be? Do you think that's going to be the plan?
Possibly. That's definitely obviously an option.
Yeah.
I don't mind waiting if I'm gonna get a world title in, if it's another 6 months. I don't really mind that. I was waiting 6 months to fight anyway.
Yeah.
and I waited probably a bit longer before then, so it makes no difference if the next fight's gonna be for a world titles than me. But we'll see. I'm not too sure.
Lyndon, do you think that you've had a lot more attention since the Yard fight? You went in there and everybody was, I'd say mainstream. Everybody was saying, oh, it's all about Yard. He was seen as the golden boy. You were there to make up the numbers a bit. We know what happened. Obviously, the jab was perfect on the night. It was. I think many people would agree, an easier fight for you in many ways in terms of the scoring as well. Should have been a little bit more in your favour, not a split decision type stuff. Have you found that it's made a difference for the way you perceive now?
I don't know, maybe by the public, maybe by a few people, but not by the promotion. I'm not getting treated how I believe I should be, but I don't know what to say. Did that, like, even down to like now the ticket situation of this fight, I've had a total of 40 tickets, if that, what I've had to shout and scream for, because of apparently people have had cash for them, and it's pure nonsense, pure politics, shit that I shouldn't even have to deal with. Yeah, I'm supposed to be the main event on this show, but people have got more tickets than me, and I have more tickets than me. And not that it's a big thing, but it is at the same time, because I'm boxing in London, and like, what am I supposed to do, fight in front of no crowd? Like, I could have sold maybe 200, 300 tickets, the amount of messages I've had, but I've been told, I got told at one time, oh, you can have this many, then you can't have this many, then you get in a code. Then the code didn't work. But then I'm asking other boxers how many tickets they got, and they're getting 100 and 200 tickets between them. And I'm like, hold on, I'm the main event, I didn't get any. So they've had to scrape together 26 and then give me an extra 14. But now it's probably a bit too late, because it's 2 days away. People need to book tickets, and it's not just 2 seconds around the corner kind of thing. So I'm trying to get as many people there as I can in a short space. But so in regards to, do I think I'm getting treated properly now, or the no, I don't. Off the public, I'm probably getting a bit more recognition. That's about it.
Lyndon, like, tickets, obviously they'll never be a problem when you're back up here in Manchester. What's the perfect end to the year for you? Just spoke about it roughly then, but get the win on Saturday night. Joe Smith, or whoever the WBO champion will be at the time at the arena, is that the perfect end to the year, or do you don't mind where you have to go? If you have to go to America?
No, listen, I want to fight. I do want to fight in America, because that's like it's kind of the mecca of boxing, like, through the history of the years, like the Madison Square Gardens and the MGM Grand and all that. So it would be amazing to fight there. But if I can get imagine getting a world title there, obviously you've done it, so it'd be great to follow in your footsteps also and do that at the arena, and just add to the history of that. But look, it wouldn't make a difference where it is.
You don't mind where you've got to go?
No, not at all.
So do you think, Lyndon, you're talking there before, obviously you're not so happy that the way that you kind of are being treated as far as you're concerned, but do you use that and channel that, like, in terms of, does it kind of affect your mentality going into a fight in a good way?
No, that's just separate. That's just a separate issue. The fight is a fight. It's going to be the same regardless. The job at hand is still to go in there and be victorious against my opponent. So that's just a separate issue that I thought I'd bring up. But you asked me on the situation, so that won't change my thought process towards the fight, because it's the same regardless if anything happens. The mission will always be the same.
I think this fella Ferracci is coming with a bit of ambition as well. Just, reading into him a little bit, and as you say, a bit of amateur pedigree. I think he feels that obviously with a belt on the line and a chance to take a scalp like yours, there's been so many shocks in this weird time that we've had in the last 18 months. I think he's trying to buy into that. So I'm sure you're not going to overlook him anyway. That as the pro that you are, is that the way that you're thinking?
We look him regardless of any situation, whether there's been upsets before me or after me. It makes no difference. This is a big fight. Obviously, any fight from now that I'm going to be in, fights are huge, because, like you just said, there's a belt on the line. That my name, my scalp. If he beats me, it will jump shot him somewhere. He'll probably take a high ranking in the WBO. They'll probably throw him in with yards and try and let Yard beat him up just to kind of get one up on me, kind of thing. So there's a lot on the line. No pressure, like, because I don't really be fazed by any of it. But this kid's undefeated and he's not aware that he can lose yet. So he will be confident, of course. But then being confident against me and going in there and doing what you feel like you can do, are two totally different things. I'm ready. If we have to go to war, I'll go to war, I can fight. So,
Lyndon, from sort of a fan's point of view, improving all the time, but just want to wish you all the best for Saturday, and hopefully we get to see that world title shot from a selfish point of view again back in Manchester end of the year. So all the best for Saturday, mate.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Looking forward to it, mate.
Just a final one, Lyndon, as well, because I don't think many people know that you put so much back into your own community as well. I know that you've done a lot of work with young people in your area. Again, it's probably not a side that people know about you, but you're still active, aren't you, in many ways, helping young kids that are from the same streets as yourself?
Yeah, of course, man. There's a bunch of kids in the gym. that are all cheeky and they're all you know, they're in the classroom and they're always trying to wind me up and but it's only kids from the estate that I come, like you say, from like the same position I was in, or you know, this same kind of backgroundish that have been through some stuff. So it's good to always give, like you say, give back to them and give them hope in a sense.
Well, Lyndon looking relaxed there, and again, he's got a chance to really showcase his skills against Davide Ferracci at the Royal Albert Hall. What a venue to fight at as well. But just interesting to pick up on a couple of things there, Anthony. And again, I think the frustration that fighters have, obviously with tickets in Lyndon's case, and just feeling a little bit unloved, it seemed there in some ways. But again, those stresses that fighters have when they're trying to get ready for a big fight night, and there's all these little things that you're dealing with. I know you used to have this situation to some tune. Josh Warrington, crazy. Worried about tickets all the time. I mean, just give us an insight.
Honest to God, mental. I think I've spoke about it with Josh, very similar. Just when I think now, I think, wow, what was it doing? Like fight week, driving around, dropping tickets off. But I had a few good friends who really helped me out, you know, as it went on. And certainly towards the big nights, what I was forever thankful for, on sort of different sides of Manchester, who like just took a massive stress off me. But it's hard because I think me and Josh were saying is some people have been there from the start. And it almost, I know what you were saying, it becomes part of it. No, I go and see them because I know fight night's coming there. I go and see that family, have a brew with them or whatever, drop the tickets off. So that's what I do. Listen, I certainly would recommend it, but it worked for us. And instead of doing great amount of tickets, you know, because but the stress of like, it's just how people wasn't, can you have this amount of tickets? Oh, I need a few more. Or can you just, can you sit us 4 over there away because they don't really get on? And it's, it would be absolutely crazy. But you ask any fighter, and a fighter who's starting off who are on a ticket deal, it's one of the hardest things about boxing, without a shadow of a doubt, is like people going about making weight. I think selling tickets is more stressful. And like I said, I was lucky. I was very fortunate. I had a very good following, and I had a few good friends who'd help me out. But selling tickets, especially for these fights that are on non-TV shows, it's a huge part of boxing.
Well, I'm not going to be ringing Lyndon asking for a few spares now. I can tell you that anyway. I think he wants his hands on a few more. But anyway, good luck to Lyndon at the weekend as well. Yeah. And finally, then, as we always do, we try and find out a little bit about your week, what you've been up to, what's going on. I know, obviously, you're in Sheffield at the weekend. Now, what's coming up with you, with your fighters, which that's Rhiannon Dixon, Jake James, and James Moorcroft, who was in great form at the weekend in Sheffield, by the way, James. Great lad.
James Moorcroft, what a character. Some guys, you know what, I haven't told that Jimmy is. I'm going to go there shortly. But I think everyone's just taking over. Rhiannon literally will have news in the next few days, finally. Thankful of that. She's going to be active from sort of September to right up until Christmas. So hopefully it gets a chance to show the talent that I believe she's got. Alex McGuinness, he's out. There's an interesting show. I know Kieran Farrell, he's doing the show sort of. I know Joe's sort of half co-promoting with him, but there's going to be him. There's going to be Alex on that. Marcus Morrison's back. Callum Thompson back. Connor Lynch, Sam Yaxley, Jerome Warburton. And it's a great show for a non-TV show. That's back in Manchester, mid-August.
Yeah, that's the Bowlers, isn't it?
Bowlers, yes, the Bowlers it is. I know that'll go on sale soon.
You had a few big nights there yourself, so it's great to have those venues back. And I think that's the thing. That's the thing, isn't it, Anthony? The big news really over the last week has been that you know, sporting venues are going to be back to full capacity. So again, that's such a big thing.
Sigh of relief for boxing fans. People promoters putting on the small shows massively. I think they're going to come thick and fast, and I think people have felt locked in for a long time. So now it's finally happening. It's going to see some great turnouts.
We are indeed. Just a final one as well, because just to end matters, there was a retirement of a young fella that's only just come back again after a couple of years.
Yes.
Kieran McVarnock, who has based himself between Belfast and Manchester, but he's done lots of work for cystic fibrosis. His partner lives with the condition, and he's been very, very active in that. But he's hanging up the gloves now, and again, you know, it's so tricky for a young fella to do that. But I think it shows the mettle of the guy as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Kieran's a great lad. massive heart in him as well. Does a huge amount for the charity. Nicole's this lovely girl. And listen, a great couple. And I know the interview's going to be out and around there now. So I look forward to watching it. But I think a lot of it's sort of how tough it was becoming. Nicole's sort of how she's dealing with it, expecting it like she's in great form at the minute. But he wants to be there for her, you know, if ever that changed. And do you know what? Fair play, he come over, he gave it a go. He goes out on a win. Well, he goes out undefeated. But wish him all the best in retirement. Like I say, a lovely couple. And yeah, hopefully one day we find a cure for that. Very tough to live with, can only imagine. But very inspirational people, the pair of them.
Yeah, indeed. So all the best to him for the future as well. And well, have a great week, Anthony, as well. And we'll see you next week. And
see you next week.
To look forward to this weekend. But thanks for watching the Betfred Boxing Show.